From the Clark Ford Studio in Oxford, Mississippi, MVW Digital proudly presents the Oxford Exxon Podcast.
I'd say thanks for tuning in, but why am I going to give you a round of applause for something you're supposed to do, to be frank?
And now, here are your hosts, Chase Parham.
And broadcast school has really paid off.
And Neal McCready.
I deserve to be on TV.
Welcome to this Wednesday edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal McCready, Clark Ford Studio this morning. Ole Miss and Arkansas, 6:30 p.m. Saturday from Vaught-Hemingway Stadium. We'll probably touch a little bit of football today, but a little different show for you. Today we're going to speak to Gerard Gibert for a little over 30 minutes. We're going to talk a little lottery. He is on the board of directors for the Mississippi Lottery, but a lot of chancellor, a lot of Ole Miss leadership as he has applied to be the chancellor. I guess that's the best way to put it, Neal. You can kind of come in here at any moment, and we'll come back to it in a second after we talk about a couple sponsors. But, it's one of those deals where we have tried to talk about whatever's going on with the university, give a pretty full-range view. We feel like we reach probably more Ole Miss people in a day than anybody else does. So we try to hit on all the things that you want to talk about, you want to hear from. We have, we have sent out multiple requests to people that we know have filled out the application to be chancellor that we feel like are some level of realistic candidate for that. Gerard said yes. Some others have said no, so we're going to speak with him today about that on the Oxford Exxon podcast, brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon, Highway 6 West in Oxford. Lunch specials, $4.99. You know that. Daiquiris as low as $3.99. As big as 44 ounces if you so wish. And the return of the Stadium Cup this Saturday at Vaught-Hemingway Stadium. Save your cup. Take it over to the Oxford Exxon or any Blue Sky location. 49 cents for a bottomless refill, a free fountain, or not free, but 49-cent fountain drink from the Oxford Exxon. You can get great gas prices with the Mobile Rewards Program, the Speed Pass Plus app, and more. And again, coming to you from the Clark Ford Studio.
We are Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900, 257-1900. Call that number, ask for Corey Clark, tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. It's that simple. I've done it. You're like, yeah, but you and Corey are friends. But yeah, but it's a business. I call and say, hey, here's what I'm kind of looking for. Here's what I can do. Give me a quote. And he does. Get a quote, and then you can do the rest from there. You can shop it around. You can compare it. I've done that a couple of times. You can do it too. You're going to end up doing what I did, which is coming right back to Corey, getting in your new Clark Ford. You'll love the product. You'll absolutely love all the service during the sale, the service after the sale. They're just really good people. They want to take care of you. Corey wants to be your car guy. He wants to be your truck guy. He's told me that a few times, and he'll prove it to you. Start the process today. 662-257-1900. So you said for me to chime in anytime. This is basically what this boils down to, is that Parham has taken this 39-person committee, or is it 49 or 59? I don't know. A lot of people on a committee, and he said, "Screw that, man! I'm gonna be my own damn committee." And he went out. He has told people, if you want this job, you better interview with me. Gerard Gibert's been smart enough to jump in. Some other people a little more hesitant because they know that the grilling that they're going to get is going to be intense. The fire is hot. The grates are absolutely smoking, and you have to be ready for it. And so one down, several to go, and Parham's going to get this thing settled. He's going to get a chancellor for you people.
Some interesting stuff. We go through a lot. Frankly, I was hoping for a little more on the process. You'll hear this in a few minutes. It appears to have a bit of a cloak and dagger feel to it, Mr. McCready, and there's not a whole lot of information out there to be known.
Well, let me say this.
Okay. That's what Ed Orgeron always said. He used to go, "Let me say this." That was one of his favorite things.
Let me say this. All you people that keep going, this thing's going to get done in October. I keep looking at...
The schedule said late October. I have a copy of the schedule.
Listen to me, Linda. My daughter, Campbell, who's no longer here, she's at college, has a calendar in her room. And every so often, I will go into Campbell's room just to kind of feel her presence. And I noticed that the calendar was still on August, and I flipped it to September because we're in September. The next month from this month is October. This thing's not getting done next month. And so here's what I've told you about this, because I've lived in this part of the country for a while, and when I say this part of the country, I mean the South. November is going to come after October, and about mid-November, everything kind of starts to get shut down. Thanksgiving's going to roll around. We've got a plan for Thanksgiving. I'm for Thanksgiving. I always want to play a football game that day. Regardless, the day after Thanksgiving is Christmas season. It's not getting done this calendar year. There's my prediction. I hope I'm wrong, because I think you guys being you Ole Miss people need a new chancellor. I think you need this interim thing gone. You need this instability gone. I think your school needs it. Your institution needs it. I think you need it. I don't think it's getting done this calendar year. I really don't. And Gerard Gibert hints at that.
Yeah. Again, just following the schedule.
And listen, you and I joke with one another, and I know that you're just reading the schedule. What I'm trying to tell you is also, I will tell you this, I grew up in a house with, my dad taught at Louisiana Tech forever. He was, I guess he was the dean of education at Louisiana Monroe for a while. He was the head of freshman English at Ole Miss for a bit before he had some health stuff pop up. So I've been around bureaucracy, and when you hear a college people say that they're going to have a decision made by August, you do have to specify which August. These things just don't get done quickly. We joke about it, but you have to have a committee and a subcommittee and a new committee and a recommittee and the NCAA is not, we make fun of it. It's not all that different from the schools that encompass it. Everything takes time. Everybody needs to be heard. Are you having enough of a diverse hearing? Did enough different, it's all that stuff. What are they having tomorrow? Some sort of a voice thing?
Listening session with basically every different group. It starts in the morning and runs through in the afternoon. The one that we have a prior engagement. I actually kind of wanted to go in the hour that I'm eligible to attend, but we're at a previous engagement during that time.
A listening session.
A listening session, yes.
Okay.
All
How
day
often
tomorrow.
do you think when, I don't know, pick a corporation?
FedEx.
Exxon. FedEx. How many listening sessions you think they have?
I don't know.
When it's just time to get something done. You think they sit over there at FedEx and say, okay, well, before we do this, let's have a listening session?
You don't think so?
It's not getting done this calendar year.
You feel good about that?
I know which way I'd bet. I mean, I just don't see it getting into mid-November and everybody going, hey, let's put the holidays aside, everyone. Let's hustle. That's just not how these things work. And then you're going to get past Thanksgiving, and we're going to have Black Friday, and everybody's going to do their Christmas shopping. And then you have a weekend.
Yeah, things shut down.
You come back to school, and everybody's got Christmas parties. You got a party here and a party there and a business party and some friends getting together, and the kids are getting out of school and the finals. And then after finals, the kids disperse, and the campus kind of turns back into a town, and we get Oxford back, and all of a sudden you can walk in and get a table at St. Leo, and everything just kind of shuts down. And then it's December the 15th, and you're like, well, we can't do it now. I mean, we're in the 10 days till Christmas. And then Christmas comes, and Santa brings all of his goodies, and he gets back to the North Pole, and he retires for a rest. And then you have a week leading up to New Year's, and you can't do it that week because you got parties, and everybody's got a bowl game to watch because you can't miss the Poulan Weed Whacker Bourbon Bowl, and you got to watch that. And then before you know it, it's New Year's Eve, and everybody has their parties and whatnot. And then New Year's Day rolls around, and then you got a few days. Then it's going to happen in some January, February. I'm just telling you, February the 12th. They'll name somebody.
Reading from the IHO website, This was dated 8/23/2019. The Board of Trustees of State Institutions of Higher Learning will hold listening sessions to gain input from University of Mississippi stakeholders on the qualities and qualifications they believe the next chancellor should possess. The listening sessions will be held Thursday, September 5th in Oxford, beginning at 9 a.m. in the Gertrude C. Ford Ballroom at the Inn at Ole Miss. Members of the university community may also provide feedback through an online survey that is part of the Chancellor Search website. Members of the IHL heard from University of Mississippi campus, blah, 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 blah. Sorry. There was a medical center listening session, is basically what it's saying. And then it says, with all these sessions open to the public, each session focuses on the needs of a specific constituency group. A map of the campus is online. So here's the schedule. If anyone does want to go, I will read this to you.
I do want to hear this because I think it's important that everyone have their needs expressed.
9 a.m. to 9:45, academic leaders. A break. 10 to 10:45, faculty.
Yeah.
11 to 11:45, staff.
Okay.
1 to 1:45, faculty, staff, and students. Students at 2 to 2:45.
Yeah.
And then 3 to 4, alumni and community.
Okay. Well, that sucks for you because you have an engagement from 3 to 4.
I just told you I had an issue. I had a scheduling conflict.
Well, see, here's my problem. You should file an appellate form that says, due to a previously scheduled obligation, I can't be there at 3 o'clock. I need, because need is important. I need a separate listening session just for me.
So you mean an individual, not an opportunity to go to another one of the listening sessions?
No, a separate one just for you. That way you are represented and you are heard.
I don't think there's security at the door. How would they stop me from going to the one at 1 o'clock?
Well, you know what? Now that would be bucking the system, and I'm for it.
I mean, faculty, staff, and students, 1 to 1:45.
I'll film it if you're going. You should go and say, my name
would
is
I be kicked out?
Chase Parham.
I am not a faculty, a staff, or a student.
I know people who are on the staff, so I'm going to air my grievances and express my needs right damn now, and you're going to listen.
I'm the proxy for a staff member.
What are they going to do? Are they going to haul you off?
No, sir. You cannot be in this one. You were at 3 o'clock.
I mean, University Police is busy preparing for October the 19th. They're not going to be there to haul you off. Sell a beer. So no, you're good. You should do that. Be heard. I wasn't planning to go to the inn at Ole Miss tomorrow at 1 o'clock, but if you're going to be there taking over this thing, I'm going to be there filming it.
Are you?
Absolutely.
Okay. Oh, gosh. Oh, by the way, because I'm not really in the mood to talk football today, there's coverage at rebelgrove.com, Jack Bicknell, other stuff. So, Neil, you can fill in.
I wrote 2 stories last night. I did a story on the offensive line.
Did you?
And I did a story on Kedron Smith.
Okay.
There's a mailbag up on the site. Lots of football in that. Got stuff. Picks is completely ready. My picks are in. Zach's picks are in. Your picks, Jeffrey's picks are not in. But I'm ahead this week. I mean,
you used the 3-day weekend. On that Monday, you got a lot done on Monday.
I did. I put the gold star on my chest. I'm proud of myself.
Which is a little ironic because our day didn't change much Monday, and you had other people that were around, I assume, compared to most Mondays.
Yeah.
You would think that Monday would be less productive for you.
I just put my blinders on, and put my head down and went to work. I did the opposite of bureaucracy. I just got stuff done. Yeah,
I knew we were going to talk a lot of Chancellor stuff today. I knew we were going to run the Gerard interview. I knew all this stuff. And then I get up this morning and I see that radical Confederate group out of Memphis or wherever says they're going to protest all the football games. I mean, it is amazing how I'm becoming a prophet just with a little common sense. Yes, duh. They were going to do this.
Because it didn't take much to predict that.
I know. That's my point. I had this conversation with multiple people as all that stuff was going on about the announcement and the drafts and the redrafts and the redrafts to the redrafts of this email, and I thought, why? You've already said you're working toward moving it. People don't need an update. You're just asking for the crazies to come out. Just don't do anything and then move it.
They already know the specific day they're moving it.
I mean, barring anything going weird with the IHL, obviously, yes.
Yeah, but I mean, assuming that they get IHL approval and all that crap.
And no, I'm not sharing.
They probably know the hour they're moving it. So just get your approval behind the scenes and move it on the appointed hour.
And then it's just gone.
And then it is what it is.
And the quicker you do that, if people do want to protest,
go to a cemetery and protest it.
And then, yeah, if people want to protest, it's way over there on the edge of campus. Go have at it. Y'all have fun.
Have at it. Set up a big bond circle and walk around and do your chants and wave your flag and I don't know, whatever it is that you do it. Have at it. Go for it. The First Amendment protects your right to go over there and do it as long as you do it peacefully. And the First Amendment does not stop your employer from seeing you and firing you. But it is what it is. Do it. Have at it. But instead, they have this, oh, no, we must come up with this carefully drafted document that announces that we're going to do this and that sends these nut job, white supremacist, crazy KKK radical nut jobs. You know it's going to trigger them. And so you did it, and so now they're going to come to your campus starting Saturday, and they're going to get all their little protesty things right in the middle of all those people, and you're just asking for something horrible to happen.
Keith Carter and Michael Thompson have to be losing their mind a little bit because you have to fight student affairs to get the alcohol passed. You get a compromise sort of for October 19th. And on this side, you just need everybody to shut up. Instead, the email goes out and now you're giving groups ammunition to screw with football Saturdays. I mean, it's one thing after another, after another, after another.
And here's where I criticized UPD a minute ago. Now I feel bad for UPD on this one.
Oh, no doubt.
Because I think the whole, we must prepare for the sale of a Budweiser. Oh, shut up.
Yeah, less police presence.
This is a nightmare. You're going to have thousands of people. Let's play this out. High of 96 on Saturday. That's hot as hell. All these people in the Grove, in the Circle, hot, drinking. Game's not till 6:30. You throw in a racial element like this, takes one nut job.
Yeah, best case, it goes exactly like it goes every other time these nut jobs have been to campus. Hope to God.
Yeah, but don't invite them. And forget for just a minute recruiting and all that stuff. I'm talking about safety. Because I'm going to have 2 kids in the Grove on Saturday. I'll be honest, I don't want them in the Grove. I'm not going to stop them. You can't live like that. But this is insane. It was so predictable. But this is why they need new leadership over there, because the current leaders over there are the biggest collection of you-know-what that has ever happened. They're so soft, so pitiful. Oh, we can't make a decision without a listening session. We can't do anything without making sure everyone is heard. No, damn it, do the right thing. It's not complicated. Be a leader. Grow a pair. Get it done. This was so predictable. The first thing, you know me, I don't deal with all this stuff. You do. You talk to a lot of people. You're a lot more connected to the university than I am. I just cover athletics. First thing when you told me this, I said, well, all those people are going to come march.
Yeah.
I mean, I said that instantly. Was no one in that whole circle? No one ever raised their hand and go, hey, the KKK people are going to come march every week?
Yeah, just FYI.
I do this right now.
So
So they'll be there on Saturday, and you'll have all the Ole Miss people and the Arkansas people. And I know a lot of Arkansas people now because of Campbell and stuff. And I'm on an Arkansas parents page on Facebook, and I'm on an Arkansas Kyo parents page on Facebook. And a lot of people are super excited to come to Oxford because here's what they say about Oxford. Great tailgating, and the people are so nice. So embrace that part of your reputation and quit doing the thing where you say, hey, let's invite the KKK down.
It's pretty
so
good.
You're going to have all people down there milling in 96-degree heat, drinking vodka and bourbon and everything else that they drink in the Grove, because that's what people do. People get a little tipsy. Some people get a lot tipsy. And one nut job with a beard down to his knee does something stupid, and before you know it, you've got somebody hurt.
Pretty good segue to get into the interview with Gerard in a second, just for a little bit of background, because obviously not everyone's going to know who he is. He ran Venture Technologies in Mississippi for a really long time, 1986, 2019, sold it earlier. Businessman, graduated from Ole Miss in 1980 with a degree in accounting. Worked for Arthur Anderson and another CPA firm or two. So really accomplished businessman. He talks about how that goes into the job to be chancellor should he get it. Also talks about some of the negatives without a terminal degree and some of those different things too. So about a little over half hour with Gerard coming up on the show. A show that is brought to you every single day by visitoxfordms.com. Visit oxfordms.com/events to see all the things going on in town this week. Today, you got a couple different South Talks lectures. You got one at the Barnard Observatory on campus. You got one at the Malco Oxford Commons. Thacker Mountain starts back tomorrow as well, 6 to 7:30 at Off Square Books. The public double-decker bus tours, 4 to 5 on Friday. That's every single Friday during the college football season as far as home games go, and then the Oxford Makers Market at 10 to 4 on the courthouse lawn September 7th prior to Ole Miss and Arkansas, obviously at 6:30. So see where to stay, see where to eat, what to do, and more. Use Visit Oxford for your resource. Again, that's visitoxfordms.com.
Celebrate 125 seasons of Ole Miss football with this exclusive offer. Pick one conference game and one non-conference game, which includes parking, for just $125. For more information, visit OleMissTix.com. Rebel fans, be sure to secure your Rebel Flex Pass this season at the Vault for just $249. New features this year include linking passes with friends, adding guest tickets, and more. For more information, visit OleMissTix.com and join the Rebel football team back in the Vault as they open their 125th season on September the 7th versus the Arkansas Razorbacks. Tickets still remain, can be purchased by visiting OleMissTix.com. And the 2019-20 Ole Miss hoop season just around the corner. It's like 7 weeks or something like that. Don't miss any of the action of Coach Yo's women's basketball team and Coach Kermit Davis's men's team this season in the Pavilion. For tickets, visit OleMissTix.com. That's OleMissTix.com. You're coming up this weekend to do some tailgating. Highly recommend 7 South Tailgating. 7 South offers packages for any budget, any party size, any number of games needed, whether you're coming to one game, all 7, or somewhere in between. They can build a tailgating package to suit your needs and your budget. If you prefer to use your own personal tailgating gear, they'll store, maintain, clean, and repair that gear as needed throughout the season. If you prefer to rent some or all of your gear from 7 South, they offer many colors, types, and styles to choose from. Call or go online today for a detailed quote customized to your specific needs. It's 662-321-1682 or visit 7SouthTailgating.com. We're also brought to you by Oxford University Bank. OUB, locally owned and operated right here in Oxford. When you deposit money at OUB, that money and the vast majority of the bank's profits go right back into the Oxford community. OUB gives you the comfort of home, all the benefits the big mega banks provide, all the technology and products you can want, all with the personal touch. When you call OUB, you speak directly with a live person, all without having to press 10 buttons, without a 5-minute wait. OUB offers its customers the absolute best cash checking account. It's called Kasasa. They also offer a commercial checking account, now paying 1% interest as long as you keep $10,000 in the account. That comes with fully interactive online banking. To learn more, go to Live Oxford, bankoxford.com, or call 662-234-6668. OUB is FDIC insured.
Podcast is also brought to you by Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Soto County, and Chattanooga. All underwriting and processing is done in Memphis. You're getting local underwriting and understands your market, a leader in condo financing, the float down option, and with rates as low as they've been in about 2 years. Good time to talk to Jason Lowe. You can do that at 662-234-2704 or JLOWE at communitymtg.com. Now here is Gerard Gibert on the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Gerard, thanks for the time today. Really, really appreciate it. I'm going to get to, obviously, a lot of Ole Miss stuff, some chancellor stuff. But first, I know you are one of the main people with the lottery coming to Mississippi. I'm just kind of curious from that standpoint, where does that stand right now? Kind of what's the timeline for that getting going?
Yeah, hey, Chase, Neil, good to see you all. To talk to you this morning. The scheduled start date for launching sales of tickets is December 1st at this point. We expect at that point to roll out not all the games, but just the instant ticket games, the scratch-off games. We'll probably have 4 at different price points rolled out then, and then we'll roll out another 4 a few weeks after that and ultimately have about 25 different games. The drawdown, the numbers games are scheduled to launch in the first quarter, and then we've been approved by the Multi-State Lottery Association, so we expect to have the big Mega Millions of Powerball in production and available for sales through our retailers end of the first quarter, 2020, beginning of the second quarter. A lot of work just awarded the game vendor this past Friday. The board did. That's IGT Global Solutions. They won both RFPs for the drawdown games, the online games, and the instant ticket games. So they're already busy setting up shop here in Mississippi.
So I saw, I guess, when it was first coming about that all proceeds are going toward infrastructure and that type of thing. Is that still where that stands? Where does the revenue go?
Yeah, that's in accordance with the Alice G. Clark Lottery Law, the Lottery Act, named for Representative Alice Clark here from West Jackson, Mississippi. The first $80 million a year of net proceeds, which is really just net profit generated by the Lottery Corporation, are directed to the State Highway Fund, and then any excess over that $80 million are deposited in the Education Enhancement Fund. That is the scenario for the first 10 years of operations, and then the first $80 million in net proceeds at that point are deposited in the general fund.
Obviously, we're going to talk a good bit of education in a second and different things. Do you see a point in the future, just your own opinion, where it becomes some sort of TOPS or HOPE or lottery scholarship type of system for Mississippi?
You know, it would be strictly an opinion on my part, and at this point, I do not. And I think that's just because there seems to be such an interest and such a desire to see our road and bridge infrastructure improved. And my personal opinion is the only way we even got a lottery passed in Mississippi, which occurred in a special session last August 2018, is because of the inability to get a fuel tax passed through the legislature. And I think there was a strong feeling that we need to do something for roads and bridges. And so the governor said maybe this is the opportune time to push for a lottery. He had been in favor of that for some time. And, of course, that had been batted around for several years in the Capitol. And so at this point, I think it's likely to stay focused on infrastructure. I'm not sure if there'll be a point where the legislature or somebody will move to amend that, which they can at any time.
Transition to that, too, the main reason I had you on today, I've got your website up in front of me, gg4olemiss.com. How did this sort of come about? When did the thought come in? Who, or I guess maybe not specifically, but just in general, what were sort of the first conversations to make you think this might be something you wanted to do?
Yeah, it really wasn't anything that I was pursuing or frankly even thought about. At the time, I was still deeply entrenched in the transaction to sell my company, which occurred in the middle of January. But as you can imagine, it was really a very tedious period of my life, the 6 months leading up to that. We were in process for 17 months, actually, in marketing the company. But I was approached by some local folks, some people that are obviously affiliated with the university, who said that they thought that I would be well suited for this position, and suggested it to me. And at first, I wasn't sure. I knew that typically the university presidents, and in particular our chancellor, are chosen from the ranks of academicians, and I obviously don't have that amongst my background, but I do have a strong background in leading organizations and the variety of business skills that I think are vital to this role. And so I said, sure. I thought about it a while. If it makes sense, put my name in the hat and let's see what happens. And that's kind of how we landed where we are today.
You mentioned putting your name in the hat. And obviously with these things, as you know, it's almost like a coaching search. Everything is done in secrecy and people are, lots of rumors and tracking planes and all that stuff with coaches. It doesn't happen to that degree with chancellors, but it's close. You're not going that route. You're coming out publicly saying you want the job. You've set up a website, all of that stuff. What was the thought process there, the strategy there, if you will?
Yeah, well, I believe that effective leaders need to have the ability to articulate their credentials, obviously, but their vision as well, and they need to be able to sell that. The way you get people transitioning from I and me and you to us is to coalesce them with common objectives and persuasive thoughts that hopefully they're on board with. So I think if you look at what my vision states, I think most of those things are agreeable to almost anybody in the university ecosystem, if not universally, that, yeah, these are things we need. Now, I fully realize that everybody has their own ideas, but in my view, if you can't sell that and sell that to the people you're going to represent and lead in the overall constituency base, then this probably isn't a good role for you. So I've been in the sales business, very complex sales business, for 33 years. I've also sold the idea of investing in my company. I've been to Wall Street. I've pitched dozens of the most sophisticated private equity firms on the planet on the idea of investing in a Mississippi-based technology company. Did that successfully and created a lot of jobs, a lot of value doing that. So it seems to me like this is something that should be just inherent to this role, and people need to know where you stand, and that was really the only thought process. I know some folks have referred to it as campaigning. I don't know, a $12 website I don't really view as campaigning. That's what it costs. What you see there is it was drafted by me. I didn't pay anybody to do that for me. I didn't even pay anybody to lay this out for me. So I don't really consider it that. I just feel like it's, I guess, just being transparent and opening up my views and my background.
Obviously, there are some differences in a way, but at the end of the day, it's about raising money. It's about getting the best students possible. There is still capital with a university as it relates to business. Do you see running a university as essentially very similar to running a major business?
Well, I do. There are a lot of similarities. There's a lot of overlap. There are obviously things that are included in running the university that might not be something you'd encounter in business. For example, classroom instruction and the academic environment in general. But those who probably have a lot of experience with that likely aren't as deeply skilled in a lot of the business type skills that are required, such as raising money or such as dealing with very complex organizational matters and financial matters. I do think that universities have developed into very large enterprises. If you think about the fact that a good number, if not the majority of our students or across the university ecosystem in general are leveraging debt, which is a business transaction, just to attend and become a student, and then have to face the prospect of retiring that debt once they enter the workforce, if they're fortunate enough to get a high enough paying job that allows them to retire that debt in a reasonable period of time. So, yeah, raising money certainly, and work in a room, and the ability to persuade people and lead people, and obviously relationships with state leaders and those in the elected ecosystem. Those are all important, I think, faculties that a person in this role must possess, and I feel like I've been pretty well prepared for that in just growing a business. I took a $189,000 loan in 1986, and I transitioned that into a $220 million organization in Mississippi, frankly, in an industry that people said there's no way you can succeed in Mississippi doing that. And I like to prove people wrong. And there are a lot of things I think we could do at the university that people say are just not possible. And, I have a philosophy that worked pretty well in business, which is we strive for perfection, and if we miss, we're merely excellent. And we would apply that same philosophy and operating the university.
You point out in your vision for chancellor up your website that Ole Miss is at an inflection point right now, and I think I agree. I think it's probably the most important hire or appointment or whatever you call it in at least a generation, given everything going on. What are the main short-term things that you feel like the chancellor, whomever it is, needs to do here to kind of get things at least sorted back on the right track?
Yeah, just applying the classic, I think, tenets of leadership, which is the ability to empathize and the ability to compromise and the ability to listen. Listening skills are so important. The university is different in that it is an incredibly diverse environment with a very diverse constituency, and a leader's got to be able to interact with all of those people and bring them to the table and listen effectively and understand their needs and try to work together to devise solution to some of our most serious challenges that accommodate everyone in some way. I think it's pretty clear we have a very divided base. There's a lot of apathy that exists within our community, and we've got to change that. We've got to find a common identity that we all can rally around, and that just seems to be missing at this point. And that extends to athletics as well. I think it's clear that at a major university, athletics and academics are inextricably linked, and one has to look no further than Alabama to see the kind of positive impact success in athletics has had to them. And I'm certainly not suggesting that comes before academics. I'm just saying that the best scenario is one where we're excelling on all fronts and everything we aspire to do.
Kind of a full question here, but you've touched on a number of things that obviously people are going to be very interested in. So I'll ask two. You can attack them however you would like, in whatever priority you would like. How would you go about, if you're the chancellor, how do you go about reversing what has become a bit of a trend in state, which is Ole Miss struggling to beat Mississippi State in-state for in-state academic kids? And then secondly, you mentioned athletics. Obviously, the majority of the people who are listening to this podcast are here because we talk about Ole Miss athletics, among God only knows what else we talk about over the course of a year. But they want to know how do you – it's one thing to say, hey, we're going to be nationally competitive, we're going to be excellent. How do you go about getting there from where Ole Miss is today?
Yes, great question. And you know what? There's just no substitute for good old-fashioned brute force selling. At the end of the day, it just has got to be done by people whose passion for the university and love of the university and ability to articulate and convey the value proposition of the university. That just has to be front and center. And I'd like to see us create a group of ambassadors across the spectrum of the diversity that represents our university, and blitz the high schools and blitz the community colleges and the communities in general, and really start making our presence known and making our brand better known. I feel like that we could do a much better job of that. I can tell you, I've been coaching youth sports now for 25 years, and I had a period where I retired 4 or 5 years when I was chasing my son Nick around playing ball, but got back into it 3 years ago. So I'm around 13-year-olds and 14-year-olds and high school kids and parents. Our brand is just not very strong right now, and that's direct feedback I'm getting from them, and that that's disheartening to me. And then I talk to them about what can we do to make that better, and they feel like that there's a lot of consternation within our ranks, that we really don't know who we are. Obviously, frankly, to a lot of high school kids, how well their sports teams are doing sometimes dictates where they decide to go to school. A lot of it is just, well, my friends are going there, so I want to go with my friends. And so how do we stop that trend and get the friends to be going more to our school? Even a lot of our alumni that were from Mississippi and have moved out of state, that have kids that are prospective students for our university, we're not marketing to them, much less marketing to our in-state kids. We're not in front of them a lot. They're not receiving a lot of pieces of communication from us. They're not seeing us in a pervasive way, so that they're always thinking about us. I just think there are a lot of smart people that I would want to put together on a task force, on a team, to figure out how to attack this issue and how to really improve in this area. And that would be one of the first tasks that I think I would tackle as chancellor.
Take a break in our talk with Gerard to tell you about Mastercut's Lawn and Landscape, premium lawn care throughout northern Mississippi, but a lot more as well. They'll build custom playgrounds, retaining walls, pool decks, outdoor living spaces with paper patios, forestry mulching, and much more. The path to your dream backyard, easier than you think. You can go online at gomastercuts.com for a free quote, or you can give them a call at 662-607-7773. Again, that's gomastercuts.com.
We're also brought to you by Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, Grenada Nissan's the place to go. They've got a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles, great lease deals as well. It's located just off Interstate 55 in Grenada, Mississippi. If you go in, tell Gene and Sandy that you heard about Grenada Nissan on the podcast. You'll get Rebel savings on top of the already great deals at Grenada Nissan. It's GrenadaNissanUSA.com. And we're brought to you by Harry Alexander. Harry is an Oxford-based RE/MAX Legacy Realty agent. He's a big part of Savannah Square. It's a new 9-acre development, 0.7 of a mile from the Oxford downtown square. It's conveniently located east of North Lamar, just a short stroll from the Midtown Shopping Center. So if you're coming in this weekend for football and you want to check out Savannah Square, get in touch with Harry. All you have to do is give him a text or a call, 662-801-5621. You can look at the site. It's savannahsquareoxford.com and set up your tour of the model home at 215 William Street. It's all Savannah Square, Oxford, right there, about a mile, less than a mile from the Oxford downtown square. We're also brought to you by John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. So here's how this works with John. You give him a call, you give him an email, you just give him some parameters. Here's what I'm thinking about. Here's the trip that I'm thinking about. I want it to be memorable. I want it to be special. I want it to be something that we talk about for years to come. And then sit back and relax. You give him a budget, you give him parameters, and then that's all you do. He'll come up with a lot of options for you that you're not going to come up with on your own. He has tons and tons and tons of connections in the travel business. He's part of Virtuoso, which is a worldwide network of travel partners that allows him to supply his clients with added values and unique benefits that aren't available to the general public. So call the number 901-494-3387. Send him an email, jedwards@regencytravel.net. Give him the parameters, give him the budget. He'll give you the options. And know this, first-time clients save $50 off their first booked trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast. The podcast also brought to you by Southern Craft Stove and Tap. They're the sponsor of our picks, which will be up on Thursday. Developed by longtime friends and Ole Miss alums Griffin Tanner and Bubba Gross, the dynamic duo were able to fuse their specialties and experience into Southern Craft Stove and Tap. The restaurant places an emphasis on food and atmosphere, mixing the quality of fine dining with the come-as-you-are environment. They have a family-friendly play area, a private dining room for parties or business meetings, a bar with more than 30 craft beers on tap, and much more. So avoid the chaos of parking on the square. Head over and experience their carefully crafted dishes with your favorite Southern ingredients. Southern Craft Stove and Tap, Highway 7 and Sisk Avenue in Oxford. And while you're in Oxford, get your beer this weekend for your tailgate, for your house party, whatever the case may be. I highly recommend Jackson Beer Company. It's on 1801 Jackson Avenue West. Give them a call, 662-638-3642. You can give your order. They'll have it ready for you. They have 10 beer taps for sampling and growler fill. You can mix your own pack of beers from their single shelf with more than 350 beers to choose from. Ask about the kegs to go. Join their text program for special deals. Text JBEER, J-Beer, to 51660. Follow them on Facebook and Twitter at Jackson Beer Co. or on Instagram at Jackson Beer Company. And also, place to stay this weekend if you're still looking for one. Highly recommend Home 2 Suites by Hilton Oxford. It's located at the intersection of South Lamar and Belk Avenue. This newly opened all-suite Hilton property offers guests lots of extra amenities, spacious suites with has a living area with a sleeper sofa and a fully equipped kitchen, complimentary breakfast each morning, fully equipped fitness center, free laundry facility, complimentary Wi-Fi throughout the hotel, and much more. You can host a meeting or presentation at Home 2 Suites. They have a 570-square-foot meeting room available for rental that can be set in a variety of ways. Extended stay rates are available. Hilton Honors Points can be earned or redeemed for bookings. For more information, call 662-238-3400 or visit home2oxford.home2suitesbyhilton.com. Follow them on Instagram and Facebook for more information about the hotel and special promotions that might be available.
Obviously, you know a lot of the people on the IHL, and the IHL is something that draws the ire of a lot of Ole Miss fans from time to time, and frankly, pretty often. It's not going away. It's not something that's going to disappear. Is there a way, though, to be able to caress and manage that in the best interest of Ole Miss that maybe doesn't always happen? It seems like every time something comes up, the IHL sort of, rightly or wrongly, becomes a kind of an attack point for that.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be that way, obviously. And the IHL, again, represents the 8 universities across the state. And don't forget about UMMC as part of that as well, which from a financial perspective is really gigantic and dwarfs, frankly, all the other universities. And one challenge for the IHL, if you think about it, is governing a traditional school such as Ole Miss, the main campus, or Delta State, or Alcorn State, Jackson State, et cetera. Governing that from an IHL governance perspective and the University Medical Center, gosh, those are two different things to a great extent. And I also think we're going to see more and more need for public-private partnerships and technology transformation to monetize investments made at the university level. Just transfer there in that respect. So I think that's where the business senses and the business skills are going to be critical. I think the chancellor has got to serve as the advocate for both the UMMC and the Ole Miss main campus to the IHL and make sure that our best foot is being put forward in every critical decision made to the IHL. And of course, that comes down to developing relationships. You got to get people to be on board with what we're doing and to think favorably of our university and see the best in our university. And it's the chancellor's job to be the chief ambassador in that respect. Again, this is, I think, where a background in building relationships from a business perspective could be very valuable in this regard.
I know you don't necessarily want to talk about the steps that you have taken to this point, but can you give us any sort of hint on what the timeline is for this hire, where they are in the process, or just anything from this search whatsoever?
Chase, I probably don't know any more than you do, frankly, in that respect, because there really hasn't been a great deal of communication in that regard. I know that it's been publicly known that the The search committee of 39 has been conducting listening sessions. I believe has another one this coming Thursday in Oxford. I'm not sure if more are planned at this point. Haven't seen anything on that. There was a formal application process in that there were as a contact, which was the principal of the search firm that the search committee or the university hired, or the IHL, I should say, and that's a group that's out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I have spoken to the principal there, and I did submit an application, which includes the documents that you have. You may have the website. There's also a cover letter that accompanied that. And then there was a series of questions that were provided by the search firm a couple of weeks ago. Those were due Friday, 10, very straightforward, very meaningful, reasonable questions that I completed responses to, sent that in Friday. You know, I suspect after this listening session this week, the search committee will start scheduling interviews and then vet candidates at that point, probably reduce that down to a short list and then another series of interviews, and then I think there may even be another sequence in that as well. So my expectation is end of the year, sometime into the spring semester, when a decision is made and a chancellor's hired.
When you first decided to go this route, how many people did you talk to? I mean, obviously you know a lot of people, but I mean, was there really a thought of, hey, I need to make sure I hit every cross section? I mean, how'd you sort of develop your plan on, you know, as you mentioned, listening and just how to figure out and cultivate relationships and what is important to a cross section of people with the university?
Yeah, I did. I talked to people who frankly have varying opinions, as you can imagine, and I'm very respectful and appreciative of that. I think diversity of opinion and consumption of all that input is really what is essential to good decision making. I met with some prominent alumni here around town that actually invited me to go meet with them, and have done that in multiple iterations, frankly. And then have also met with young people. I've met with older people. I've met with some parents and young athletes that I talked about. I have there are various groups that have an interest in the university as well that I have met with, that have just asked me to speak to them, or not formally speak, but just introduce myself more than anything. And there's people around the state that I know that I've spoken to about this. There are people that have called me that have somehow gotten my contact information. A number of people that have called, just wanted to introduce themselves and ask questions and frankly offer their support. And of course, I know almost everybody in the state capitol, been very involved in the political realm for a number of years, have spoken to a number of members of our legislature and other state leaders, and frankly received very positive feedback in that respect. So I think that's probably a good description of the cross-section of the folks I've met with to this point.
This is kind of chancellor-related, kind of not chancellor-related. As someone who's built a massive business in Mississippi, who's had success in Mississippi, as you mentioned, in a field where people told you can't have success in Mississippi. How does Mississippi, and maybe Ole Miss plays a role in this, maybe the chancellor at Ole Miss, he or she plays a role in this, I don't know, you tell me, how does Mississippi create more, for lack of a better term, white-collar jobs, technological jobs? How does Mississippi bring those jobs to this state, so that kids who are growing up in this state, who right now are being told, hey, there's no reason to stay in Mississippi, there are no jobs, you can start to change that mindset a little bit?
Yeah, it's a great question, and something that, frankly, I contemplate with regularity and have for many, many years, certainly working in that industry. Just watching the recent political races as I have, when you see the way the various candidates line up on their policy positions, the one thing I think that is true about moving our state forward that doesn't get enough discussion is our per capita income. And I think that sort of ties into what you're saying about how do we grow the base of so-called white-collar jobs. And that doesn't necessarily mean more money, but generally speaking, those are higher-paid occupations. But if you do a comparison and break down our income into quintiles, which is typically how you analyze per capita income. You look at the 5 quintiles and you compare us to our neighboring states. Our per capita income is lower across every single quintile. And so that essentially means not only are our lowest earners earning less than their counterparts in the neighboring states, our highest earning citizens are earning less than our counterparts. So we need to lift up the per capita income, which, by the way, we've been 50th in since 1929. We can do better there. How do we do that? How do we keep this tremendous talent that our great universities, including Ole Miss, of course, are producing? How do we keep them here in the state? Well, there got to be jobs for them. There's got to be opportunity for them. My personal opinion is, having traveled the country, raising money, and coming from Mississippi and standing in front of these very sophisticated investors, I got to tell you, I was always self-conscious about what do they think about me being a Mississippian. And my response always was to stick my chest out. That we have a lot to be grateful for, and certainly a lot to brag about here in Mississippi. We just don't tell the story effectively, and that vacuum, I think, of lack of information, lack of positive projection and image building. What happens is people in New York and on the West Coast and in the middle of the country in the investment community, they kind of form their own conclusions, and usually those are negative. And they have these perceptions and these stereotypes that are just not true, in that we just don't have sophisticated, really good, really smart people with a high quality of life that, though we're still largely a rural state, which is fantastic, there's just so much good going on here, and that story just needs to be told. I think as a chancellor, working with our state leaders and our D.C. delegation, there's no question that we need to be approaching those that are making these business decisions in these big time corporate organizations that are probably, well, it's not probably, I know they're just not even considering Mississippi for investment and expansion. I think to a great deal because of their incorrect stereotypes. We've got to go to them as a group. We've got to form, again, some ambassadors to approach these people. I'm perfectly comfortable picking up the phone and talking to any corporate leader in America. And I believe they take or return my phone call as a chancellor, and inviting them down to give them personal tours of our university, of our medical center, of our other universities, of our state in general, and getting them to get what we call in the sales business, the feeling of the warm fuzzies about making an investment and staking a claim and producing a base here in Mississippi. That's what I think's got to happen.
You mentioned at the very beginning, obviously not a traditional option with the lack of an academic side, but like I guess any business, any organization, really anything at all, is that as simple as for the provost positions and the more academic side of things? Is that just making the right hires and letting them do their job as much as anything else?
Well, it's kind of a complicated question. The first thing is, I believe that the best organizations are one where leaders empower others to make decisions, and to do so that of course fits within the framework of the organizational objectives and the overall the organization's key values and tenets. The Ole Miss Creed, for example, that should be framing every decision we make, and I believe every employee and every student ought to act in conformance with the Ole Miss Creed. It's pretty good guide for just living your life, frankly. That's the first thing I would say, is that we've got to empower leaders. The second thing is, I've worked in an industry for 33 years where the learning never stops, where knowledge is power, where the minute I stop learning new facts, new information, new knowledge, then I fail because my competitors are out there doing. So I've been accustomed to getting up every day of my life and learning something new. I left the classroom a long time ago with a major in accounting, but then I immediately went into the IT industry because I thought it offered just the greatest promise of our generation, and I think that proved out to be right. Back then, when I was trying to start the business, I couldn't get anybody to see that. They just couldn't envision how gigantic and how transformational this industry was going to become. So I'm proud to have been a part of that. But and I'm only making that point to say I will work to learn and to understand better than I do today, certainly, the academic environment. And I will do that by personal observation through analyzing and reading and discussing with people that do understand that better than I do. You see, I believe that the most effective leaders are those that understand their limitations. It's when they step outside of their swim lane and they try to make decisions in areas that are, frankly, outside of their sweet spot of proficiency. That's usually where you end up with trouble. So the smart leader understands, I'm limited here. I've got to have help. I've been working with a large swath of highly competent professionals across the financial industry and raising money and putting money to work, investing in my company, the legal industry. Obviously, I've managed a large complement of very skilled technical engineers for a long time that know a lot more about what they do in the trenches than I ever could. But what I do have is a key sense and kind of an innate ability to know when they're maybe abusing their level of knowledge to influence others with untruths, because I know other people don't know when they're telling the truth and when they're not. Fortunately, I was always able to surround myself with incredibly honest people that respected our organizational objectives and understood their role and were always helpful and provided value with their skills as opposed to any sort of activity that might detract from achieving our objectives. But and the same approach could be applied here. I don't see how anybody could show up for this job, frankly, and possess 100% proficiency across the entire gambit of skills that are needed here. I do think I have a great deal of them, as you point out, down in the trenches at the academic level. Perhaps not, but certainly when interfacing with the IHL on a business transaction or a business proposal, as does happen with the UMMC on a regular basis, that requires deal-making skills, transaction skills, business skills, finance skills. Those are things I understand.
I'm not as in touch with the voice of Oxford and Ole Miss as much as the mayor over here, Mr. Parham, but I do hear from people that it's something. You talk about this in your vision about free expression must be defended. There are a lot of people that are very frustrated, I think, with the way they perceive Ole Miss sort of rolling over in that regard, not allowing there to be a free market, if you will, for the transfer of ideas, for the expression of ideas. There's some people would call it political correctness has gone too far. I don't know. I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, but you touch on it. How do you, if you get the position, if you're named chancellor, how do you go about sort of reversing that trend where people of all political beliefs, of all religious beliefs or whatnot, feel they can sort of express their feelings in the marketplace of ideas without fear of persecution?
Yeah, the leader has to be a staunch defender of freedom. And if you look at our creed, the belief in academic freedom and academic honesty, we've got to practice that. We've got to institute that and ensure that it's practiced. And I don't want any student, any member of our staff or faculty or administration, if I were fortunate to be chancellor, wouldn't want them to ever think that they should be hesitant to express their views, provided that it's again in adherence with our creed, that it's fair and that it's civil and that it respects the dignity of individuals. The first two tenets of our creed. People need to feel like they won't be persecuted for expressing their worldviews. And it's the chancellor's job to ensure that everybody throughout the organization understands that we do respect all views. We encourage views. We encourage civil discourse and debate of these views. And we should all have to deal, frankly, with some of these thornier issues. We shouldn't run from those. But as long as we keep it civil and we treat each other as we want to be treated, which was, frankly, the key guiding principle in operating my company for 33 years. We just treat everybody the way we want to be treated, and things work out pretty well. But, again, the leaders got to step in and be the defender of that and got to assure that environment exists throughout our university community. It's just critical. And it's not just Ole Miss, as you know. I've been paying a lot of attention to this the last 6 months. And it seems like every day there are new reports and new articles and new accounts where that doesn't seem to be the case, where one particular worldview is suppressed or not allowed or ends up with costing whomever expresses it some sort of consequences, even physical harm, which is just crazy. We've got to move away from that. I think we could, frankly, be a beacon for this within the university community. Just some changes in attitude and changes in policy and making sure everybody up and down our org chart buys into this.
Really, thanks for the more than half hour there. I think just last thing, is there anything that maybe you want to say that we didn't ask you this morning?
Well, this is an honor and a privilege just to even be considered. It's not lost on me what an awesome job this would be, and what an awesome task and responsibility this would be. I have thought through it quite a bit, and I do feel like this is something I not only would enjoy but could excel at, and I would like to leverage my skill set and those which I have developed, understanding that I have a lot more to learn. I think everybody does. It enters a role like this to bring some stability and some pride into the Ole Miss community and make us be the top destination for our students in our state and get our alumni feeling good about our school and wanting to contribute and donate and make a difference and participate and be active. I just want to see people fired up again about Ole Miss and being part of the university community.
Thank you, Gerard. I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you again.
Thank y'all. See you later. Thanks, Neil. Chase.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot to Gerard for his time today. The podcast also brought to you by G&M Pharmacy there on South Lamar in Oxford. 662-236-2222 is the phone number. Give them a call to transfer those medications over. Also ask them more about their free delivery to your home or workplace. They offer MedSync to fill your prescriptions the same day every single month. Make it easy on you. Limit your trips to the pharmacy or even your deliveries if you're taking advantage of that. You know about the CBD oil that's also available in roll-on form now. A little added extra option for you in that department. And the sildenafil, we've been telling you for a long time, much cheaper than brand alternatives Viagra and Cialis. Get your in as little as 15 minutes. And if you're interested in that, you can do that online at TysonDrugs.com or GandMPharmacy.com. You click product request a prescription right there online. They will be discreet if necessary. Again, 662-236-2222.
The podcast is also brought to you by the Westin Jackson. They sponsor my mailbag, which is up bright and early today because of my Gold Star status. The Westin Jackson's a Marriott property right there in downtown Jackson. It's home to Soul Spa, the ultimate luxury spa experience in downtown Jackson. It's also home to Estelle Wine Bar and Bistro, a wonderful place to have breakfast, lunch, dinner, Sunday brunch, a cocktail this evening, winding your day down. You can enjoy their curated wine list and all of Chef Caden's many offerings. It's fantastic. Chase and I both love it. You will too. So gather at Estelle in the Westin Jackson tonight. We're also brought to you by Pinnacle Trust. Pinnacle Trust is not only a sponsor of this podcast, but they are the sponsor of their very own MPW digital podcast. It's called the Mind on My Money podcast. It will, episode 4 will fall or release, whatever the term is, later today on all of your regular podcast platforms. Pinnacle Trust, meanwhile, is also home to Pinnacle Trust 401k advisory services. If your business retirement plan is not functioning the way that you want it to function, the way that you feel like it should function, get in touch with the people at Pinnacle. They'll look into it. They'll provide a complimentary assessment of your 401k plan. They'll let you know what's working, why it's working, why it's not working, and they'll come up with some ideas for you to look into, to evaluate your own your plan, and maybe do what a lot of businesses have done, which is sign up with the Pinnacle Trust 401k advisory team. It's pintrust.com, PINNtrust.com. Mention that you heard about Pinnacle Trust on the podcast. You'll get 10% off your first year's fee.
Whew, okay. What are we going to talk about?
You excited about Waffle House, man? I mean, there's a lot of buzz in Oxford about Waffle House. Listen, I'm not trying to be smart aleck here, and I get it. It's all kind of fun.
That didn't take much. Go ahead.
But is it that big of a deal? Am I missing something here? I know I've never been to a Waffle House. Am I missing something here? Is it this?
Whoa. Never?
I've never been to Waffle House.
Why?
I don't know. It's not my thing. I'm not a breakfast person. You know that.
Well, okay. Go ahead.
No, I'm asking you. Is it that big of a thing? I mean, we got a Huddle House. We got an IHOP.
It's fine. I mean, it's better than those two, but I mean, I'm not changing my day over it. I'm not a huge breakfast guy either. I mean, I like their waffles. They're fine.
I mean, if I'm going to spend 2,500 calories on a meal, I'm probably not doing it in the morning.
For a lot of people that live here, they've just gone frustrated by the amount of attention this is taking up in our conscience. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of great things going on. There's a lot of stuff that needs fixed too, and I know a lot of things are being fixed, but just from a public perception standpoint, I'm getting a little annoyed with the Waffle House stuff, I'll be honest.
I'm not even annoyed by it. I'm almost curious by it.
I'm annoyed.
I'm just curious.
It's overtaking my social media.
If I drive up and down Jackson Avenue, which I do.
You do more than I do. I avoid it.
I see, my gym's down there, my vet's down there. I got to go to the eye doctor today. It's down there.
Well, no, you can go to the gym from the highway, and you only see 3 buildings on Jackson Avenue.
And I often do that.
Okay.
But sometimes I'll come back on Jackson Avenue because it's easier to turn right than it is to turn left there.
Okay.
And you see 30 places that are like a Waffle House.
Okay. We're making friends and influencing people today, aren't we?
I'm being serious, though. I mean, okay. I see that place, and that place, and that place, and that place, which is good. I'm glad. Those are jobs and business. It's cool. It's awesome. Great. I just didn't know it was such a big deal. I don't know what the big deal is. I mean, smothered and covered and stuff. I don't even know what all that means, but it just sounds like a whole lot of fat grams to me.
I do think you can get a waffle today for 3 hours on the square. Isn't today the day?
I don't know. Is that right?
I think it's today. Yeah, they're doing a National Waffle Week or something. It's here in College Station and somewhere else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you a big waffle person? If I even have breakfast, that's not what I want.
I mean, when I have breakfast, 90% of the time it's an omelet. I love omelets. I'm weird because I don't necessarily like eggs by themselves, but I like omelets.
Yeah, I like an omelet too, but if I'm going to have an omelet, I have to know, okay, not only am I not eating lunch, there's got to be a major exercise opportunity coming up.
It has no carbs. You're fine. Shut up.
It's calories, man. Calories.
No, calories are broken down into different elements depending on how you do them. My point being, I'm a waffle guy over a pancake guy. If I have to have one or the other, I want a waffle. I like the crispiness. I like the oil. I would much rather have the waffle than the pancake. That's my take.
Yeah, I think if you told me I had to have one or the other, I would pick the waffle.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think the last time I had pancakes.
Yeah, it's just not something I order. I don't eat pancakes, really.
I bet I haven't had a pancake in 8 years.
It hasn't been that long, but a while. Just not my thing.
I've probably had one waffle in the last 5
I'll eat
years.
waffles time to time. Best thing you'll see on the internet yesterday, Aaron Barrett getting called back up to the Nationals. He was kind enough to join us last fall, talked about his struggles, a guy who got up, was having a really nice career in the bullpen for the Nats. He had a UCL tear, and then he broke his humerus bone, the most fatal thing a pitcher can do. Spent 2 years repairing that, rehabbing that, had to start all the way back at low A, and yesterday found out he's going back to the big club, so incredibly proud for Aaron.
Yeah, he is a super guy who was dealt about the worst blow a pitcher can suffer. And he's just, I mean, you know, he's obviously not going to have the career that he probably dreamed of having, but the perseverance that he has shown. And I think what you saw in that video was, here's this guy that probably has every reason to kind of feel sorry for himself. And instead, he's been kind of a mentor to other young players, to that organization, and they respect the hell out of him. And he's coming up to a team that's, I mean, they're in the mix now. They're going to probably win a wild card game against the
I don't
Cubs
think they can catch
Phillies
Atlanta, but
no, but they're going to throw Scherzer in a wild card game and beat either Philadelphia or the Cubs or the Mets or the Brewers or whoever.
Had a 7-run comeback last night.
None of those teams have a chance.
7 runs last night?
Yeah. Through the Mets, that's just, you go ahead and shut it down. But then they'll throw Strasburg in game 1 against the Dodgers, and here's the thing, Strasburg's good enough to win that game. The Nationals if I'm the Dodgers, the Nationals are the one team I don't want in that first round in a 5-game series. People say, why? Because they'll throw Strasburg twice at you and Scherzer once, and if they win, they win.
Right. Now, at the same time, you have the better team with the better arms, but
but you understand my point, though.
Yeah, I got you. They're scary. Several of the teams aren't scary.
Yeah, the Cubs aren't scary. They're good. They're fine. They're 12 over. They're solid.
The Brewers are not scary.
The Brewers are not. They're not scary at all right now. The Phillies aren't scary right now. There's no Jake Arrieta. You have Aaron Nola, but you don't really have that next dude to scare the hell out of you. The Mets aren't getting there. The team that scares you is the Nationals. Because when Strasburg is on, you know what I'm talking about here. When he's on, he can hold you to 1 run. When Scherzer is on, he can no-hit you. Those guys are scary. That lineup's pretty good. Soto, Rendon. They got a break because Eaton's injury isn't as severe as I think they feared it would be. They're a solid club. Trey Turner's a good player. They're the scariest of those possible teams if you're the Dodgers. And if you're the Braves right now, you're starting to get a little scared of the Cardinals because Jack Flaherty right now is the best pitcher in the National League.
But it's still that deal where of your options, you'd still rather play them. Right?
I think so. I don't know. I'm starting to change my tune on the Cardinals a little bit.
Okay.
Martinez has kind of played his way into that closer role a little bit. I didn't think it would work, but it kind of has. Goldschmidt's playing elite baseball right now, giving them a presence in the middle of the lineup. Dexter Fowler has sort of rejuvenated himself a little bit at the top of the lineup. They're right now, if I'm the Braves, they're scarier to me than the Cubs. Because the Cubs are that team that if they hit home runs like they did last night, they're really good. You know, they have a lot of power guys, Castellanos and Schwarber, and Rizzo started to hit a little bit. So you have all of that, but the Cubs don't have a rotation that scares you. They have a good rotation. Lester got another win last night. Hamels is good. Hendricks is good, especially at Wrigley. But none of those guys scare you. Kimbrel's been good, but he's not Craig Kimbrel of old. The Cubs bullpen's fine, but it's not great.
Give or take 20 games left?
25 left, I think, as of today.
Okay. Like the Astros have 22 left. I'm just looking at the standings, and that was the easiest one to figure out because they're 90 and 50.
The Cubs have, I think, 25 left. I'm looking at it. I think they and St. Louis have played the exact same number of games at this point.
24 left.
Yeah, the Cubs have 25 left. The Cardinals have 25 left. Cardinals are 3 over the Cubs right now, 7 over the Brewers. So the Brewers can forget the division. Cubs 75 and 63. Cardinals 78 and 60. They've won 8 of their last 10. They do play each other the last 2 weekends of the season.
And that is the only division still sort of up for grabs. Everybody else at least 6.5 up.
Atlanta 6.5 up. The Dodgers 18 up.
So they're clinching here in the next couple days.
Yeah, Yankees 9.5 up in the East. Minnesota 6.5 over Cleveland. Give the Twins a ton of credit. A month or so ago, it looked like they were going to fade, and they didn't. And Houston 9.5 games
over the Athletics.
Up Oakland in the American League West.
If you're curious, as of today, your wild card games, pretty much a 3-way race in the American League: Tampa Bay, Oakland, and Cleveland. Tampa Bay has a 1-game lead over Oakland and Cleveland. And then the National League, a little more scattered. The Nationals have a 3.5-game lead. The Cubs would be in, and they have a 2.5-game lead over the Phillies and a 3.5-game lead over the Diamondbacks as of right now. So
yeah, the Rockies 4 out, the Mets 5 out, and everybody else is out.
Yeah, that's it. Anything else is just not enough.
Yeah, I mean the Giants, for example, are 9 out. They're not going to get there.
You couldn't get there even if it was just one team, but now you got to jump 5. You know what I mean? Like that makes it mathematically impossible.
Yeah, the Mets have had a disastrous stretch here lately. They went 3-7 in their last 10, and that's killed them. The Cubs swept them, and then I think the Braves swept them, and then that game last night was that's it. You don't recover from those.
Right. So, anyway.
Hey, don't forget, everybody, you are invited just by listening to us rant and rave to listen to Chase's Chancellor Search. You are invited because of that to Blue Delta Jeans is inviting you to a hog roast on Friday night, this coming Friday, the day before Ole Miss and Arkansas. Whole hog roast out at Wonderbird Spirits out in Taylor. It begins at 6:30. There's a cash bar. Blue Delta will have all of their product line out. You can get fitted for and buy your own pair of Blue Delta jeans. Special pricing that night only. There'll be more details at the event, but you're invited. I'll be out there for a little bit. I think Chase will be out there a little bit later, and you can check that out. So all of that out at Wonderbird Spirits in Taylor.
Got a little more coming your way, probably with Blue Delta the next few days as well. So we'll get into all that, making our way towards Saturday, Ole Miss and Arkansas, 6:30 from Vaught Hemingway Stadium. Needless to say, a huge game for both teams, programs. I don't know, teams. No doubt about that whatsoever. So,
hey, and one more thing, Chase, while I'm thinking about it, I can't find the exact reader right here, so I'm just going to kind of do it the best I can. They're out at Nelson's on the square Friday from noon to close, and then on Saturday from noon to 3. Dead Soxy will be out there with their alumni line. So you can check out some of their new product that's available to you before it's available to the general public. That'll be at Nelson's. Dead Soxy is a fantastic product. They've been great to us. They're the sponsor of the Soft Verbal podcast, which we're taping tonight, by the way. So go check that out if you're on the square. Stop by Nelson's noon to 6, and then from noon to 3, I believe, on Saturday. Check out the product. You can buy it there. It's Chase and I both wear it. We tell you this all the time, but it's absolutely the truth. They stay up. They stay cool. They are very fashionable. We love them. You will too. So check it out at Nelson's on the square Friday and Saturday, and make sure that you tell the guys from Dead Soxy that you heard about it here on the podcast.
Yeah, definitely. Friday, noon to close. Saturday is noon to 3. I just checked it real quick. So those are the time. Noon to 6 on Friday, noon to 3 on Saturday. Thanks to Gerard again, and we will talk to you again tomorrow.